Okay, welcome everyone to the Public Works Committee meeting, April 12th. We will call the meeting to order at 6:07. Myself, Bernie Flynn from Ward 6, and Sheila Vaccaro, 5th Ward. So first item, any comments, suggestions, petitions by residents not on the agenda? Yes, please. You just give us your name and address, please.
Sure. Hi. Hi, my name is Daphne Okshuolu. I'm a resident at 412 Dean Street.
Excuse me. Could you spell your last name for me?
Absolutely. The first letter is O, K, C, U, O, G, L, U. Thank you. Yes, 412. Thank you. Sure. So I'm a resident there for the past 21 years, and I'd like to request a tree removal due to it creating upheaval on the sidewalk. I'd like to, per the borough's recommendation, replace that tree and repair the sidewalk. I'm not sure if I should say anything else.
And have you applied for a permit already?
I don't know if there's a permit needed to remove the tree. Per advisement, I'm here to ask for information regarding how to go about it.
Okay, so you might be able to help me, but I think the tree ordinance requires any cutting, pruning, et cetera, it's a street tree.
It is,
correct?
Yes.
That requires a permit.
Okay.
Is that correct, Sean?
Yes, that's correct. And someone from the Tree Commission is also in attendance if you'd like to ask them questions too.
Okay, great.
Sure.
Okay, sure, of course.
Jeff Bytel, I'm the chair of the Tree Commission. I'm familiar with this tree. This tree was brought to the Tree Commission, I believe, last year. The resident asked for a condemnation of it. We had the arborist go out and full assessment of the tree. It's a perfectly healthy tree. There's no public danger to this tree. If there is any sidewalk issues, those can be worked around the tree roots. There's plenty of examples how to do that. We did review the tree and we denied the condemnation because we are not in the business of condemning perfectly healthy trees that present no danger to the community. So it has been reviewed, it has been denied. So you have that.
I would like to re-review this tree. It is causing upheaval to the sidewalk, which is an impairment to myself and my neighbors. The tree is planted too closely to my home. It's a large growing male ginkgo tree that, per advisement, it should be 25 feet from my home. It's 18 feet. It's uprooted my sidewalk. I have neighbors on both sides citing me for concerns with insurance and liability. I've been pre-fined by the borough for its unsafe uprooting of my sidewalk, and I need to know the next steps to move forward. I will not be, the situation is hypocritical at best, and I need to move forward with better counsel than just being simply denied. It's a year later, the tree's grown exponentially, it's uprooting my sidewalk. Something needs to be done for the safety of myself and my neighbors and my family.
By any chance, do you have a picture on your phone?
I do. They're not the best pictures, but I have some.
We're more interested in the sidewalk.
I do.
Because we have people that have issues with very, very large trees. And what they've had to do is actually take that block of concrete out or whatever it is.
It's brick.
And then reconfigure a semicircle around the base of the tree. So it would work and make it level. But if you have the picture, I'd be more.
Well, I've been advised, yeah, I do have pictures, and I've been advised that in order to do so, I would have to cut into the roots, which would kill the tree. The tree has grown exponentially every year. I've been asking actually for 10 years because I knew that this was going to happen. I'm really feeling
Yeah, I don't want you to be nervous. Don't be nervous. You know,
concerned.
we're all neighbors here, you know.
Yeah.
I live around the corner from you.
Yeah,
She
I'd be,
lives down the
I
street,
have a
so-
tree on my front lawn. I love trees. I'd like to grow another proper small growing tree, but this one is creating upheaval to the entire span of the sidewalk. It's not just a small area. It goes all the way to my neighbors on either side. And my neighbors on either side are unhappy about the upheaval to their sidewalk as well. I have some pictures. Like I said, they're not the best.
Well, you said your address is 412?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
I'll take a look at it tomorrow.
okay, I appreciate it. And I'd like to, per advisement, to create the best scenario of concern for trees and canopy plant with a smaller growing tree that creates less root upheaval.
If you leave your contact information with
Sure.
Mr. Metric,
Okay.
I'll be more than happy to get back to you when I take a look at it.
Okay, good.
You
Thank
okay with
you.
that?
Okay. I'll do that over here.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, everybody.
thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Hi, I'm Dale Friends, 511 West Minor Street. I'm here for the Friends of Everhart Park, and in advance, I'd like to apologize for not being on your agenda, but this is a follow-up regarding Everhart Park of an email that I sent to Bernie on April 7. And I would just like to go over these few items. I'll be really brief because I know you have a full agenda tonight. But these are all follow-ups on items that were in that email. And so the first one is mud at the stormwater discharge from the playground. As you all know, Everhart Park has a wonderful new playground. And part of the challenge with stormwater is that when you solve it one place, sometimes it moves somewhere else. And that's kind of what's happened here. But it seems as though there are a couple separate issues that show up on the photographs that have been enclosed here. And the first is that the main discharge pipe from the playground underground stormwater collection system, it appears to us is set too low so that the contractor actually had to dig a ditch in order to run it out to grade. And so we end up with these sloping sides that to us present a tripping hazard for kids running around the park. And it's also a wet spot because you can imagine that on a large playground like that, the water is going to continue to drain out for a number of days after a rainfall. You know, for instance, we had the big rain last Thursday and it's still running now, you know, and that's no surprise. And then the second is not a design issue or a construction issue with a playground, but rather it was a design assumption. And that is the plan was that the stormwater discharge onto grade so that it could be absorbed again by the park and not be just put into a pipe and sent somewhere else, you know, which is a good idea. The problem is that we have really heavy clay in that area, and so it's not soaking in. And today, I actually took these pictures today, and on the third picture, I think you can see that that we actually have standing water there yet from Thursday's rain. And so what you're looking at, I'm sorry, in the second picture, what you're looking at is the end of the ditch and then the dispersion of the water onto grade. And it's just really wet. And if it were any place other than in a picnic area, it wouldn't be so much of an issue. But as it is, we have a couple picnic tables that are really made unusable. And I don't know about the long-term health of the trees being that soaked with water. But anyway, I feel like the design and construction team ought to get together again in Everhart and reevaluate this, possibly coming up with a pipe solution that could run to an existing functional inlet in the pathway that's along the stream. So There is a solution. I don't think it has to be really expensive or damaging, and I think it ought to be pursued. But we're not the ones, the Friends of Everhart Park are not the ones to call the design team back. You know, it's a borough responsibility. So I hope that the borough can take action on that. The second item is reseeding of the disturbed areas surrounding the playground, and I had mentioned that in my email, asked for fencing and cooperation with our community service kids who were going to first install the fencing, but then Public Works said, no, we'll install the fencing. And so I met with them this morning, and they didn't have any fencing. They only had like 2 sections of it. And so I was a busy shopper today, and I bought 11 rolls fencing, that 1,100-foot rolls that are now installed. It looks great. On Thursday, the community service kids are going to come in and spread 20 yards of topsoil that we had bought to spread over the top. And then the contractor, Tom Lickmanic, is coming back on Thursday afternoon to reseed. So I think that's a resolved issue as long as the weather cooperates and everybody does what they said they'll do. So I just wanted to tell you that some things did work out from that memo. The third item is ruts at the wastewater pumping station. And the pumping station is served by trucks, and there's an F-250 pickup truck and an F-550 stake body truck. And I don't know if there's truly a space limitation. Well, there's definitely a space limitation, but I don't know if it's just someone not wanting to make the number of turns that they have to make to get out, or if there's really not enough room. But at any rate, since a tree died, they've just been driving over the grass there. And we're not even asking them to stop driving over the grass. We're asking them to remove the grass and put gravel in and eventually paving it. So that's a request that's been made, and we hope that it'll go forward just to clean that up, because it is one of the entrances to the park, and there are all these ruts, and they actually drive over the top of this stump, which isn't great. Then at the stream head wall, which is the last picture in my set here, the sweet little middle branch of Black Horse Run has the ignominious ending of this concrete head wall going into a culvert and then underneath Bradford Avenue to join the other 2 branches of it on the other side of Bradford. And the problem is that they're old culverts, and I don't know what diameter they are, but they're no more than 18 inches. And there are 3 of them there, but only one of them is maintained as functional. And so mud backs up, or brush backs up, and then floods over, and it has at times flooded over the sewage pumping pits and gets down into the pumps then. But our proposal is that we really need a long-term solution to this, which ought to include sort of developing this head wall, making it taller and making it wider to pick up all 3 culverts, and then building a trash rack upstream from it. And if any of you have seen an old-fashioned grist mill, on every head race, there's a trash rack that collects debris that floats down. And so it floats down before it enters a culvert or a pipe where it clogs it up. And so what we would hope as a first step would be that trash rack could be put in, like, I don't know how many feet upstream from it, but it requires engineering, and we hope that the borough can follow up on it, because what it's ending up doing is turning this into sort of a transfer station of mud, where a dump truck drives up and a backhoe loads the mud into the truck, and then they bang up trees, and there are ruts and there's piles of mud. So it's not conducive, to a park setting, and I just hope that can be resolved. Then the final item is there's a white oak along the Minor Street entrance walk that died like 2 years ago, and it was finally cut down after standing about a year, and now it's laying on the ground as a pile of logs that a developer has paid the borough to remove and make into something. The problem is the developer has not picked up the logs, and it seems as though our current tree contractor, Elite Tree Service, has the equipment to move it. And all we're asking is that the borough get Elite to move the logs out to a street where the developer can pick up the logs with a log truck, which they can't drive a log truck into the park because they sink to make some royal ruts. So those are the 5 items following up on that email. And again, I apologize for not being on your agenda, but I want to bring this to the borough's attention. And I think it's all the park's hopes that, hope singular, that the borough will work out a management plan for the parks so that we all, the friends groups, all have an understanding of who's responsible for the maintenance of the parks and who we go to when we have a question or a concern. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dale. Appreciate it. Any questions?
Can I take that one last question, Dale? Dale, thank you so much. I really appreciate the friends and the advocacy for the park, and it's really a beautiful gem. Back when I was much younger looking for an apartment in the area, I pined for an opportunity to live next to Everhart Park. It didn't work out. We ended up in Marshallton. And good place, though. We enjoyed it out there. We do have some organizational reconfiguration we're doing, but these kinds of maintenance issues, kind of at this granular level, communicate them directly to our Director of Parks and Recreation, Keith Kurowski, and he can switchboard the information to the right person, either at Public Works or to my attention or to a person on council. It's always good to talk to your council members. But the first point of contact for maintenance issues should be Keith, and he will coordinate who needs to know what, because Keith is going to be at the center of planning and capital improvements and user groups for the parks. So I want that person with that kind of knowledge and information to deal with issues that come up from our friends groups, because he'll know the whole picture, and then he can communicate to Public Works if there's a work order that has to be generated. So at least one answer we have.
Here, but does that mean that if we would like a trash receptacle relocated, should go to Keith and not to Don Anderson? Okay, so for everything we go to Keith. Okay, and don't copy anybody else? Wow. Okay. I might copy my councilman.
I do answer him. I answer you rather rapidly.
Okay. With that, we will move on to the next item, which is 3A, Public Works Report, State of Good Repair Update.
Hello, Al Venatelli with Public Works. Just wanted to kind of give an update just on just everything going on with Public Works projects we're doing, things like that. We've had 4 IDA projects that were either have worked on or got on planned to be worked on in the near future. South Franklin Street, I think I've spoken about it a few times before. That project was completed, and that came in at a final cost of $65,573.86. Just last week, the repair at 423 College Avenue was completed of a removal and replacement of an 18-inch CMP pipe. I have not received the invoice yet, but that's probably in the neighborhood of about $35,000 replacement. And currently we have our contractor working at 317 East Marshall Street. They're replacing a CMP pipe there also that failed during the storm, and we're estimating that at approximately $50,000. That's probably going to be completed by the end of this week, if not earlier, maybe Thursday. And then we have one last location that is not scheduled yet, but there's a brick pipe at the intersection of Minor Street and South Matlack. That brick pipe is failing, collapsing, and we have to have that replaced with a HDPE pipe. We're estimating approximately $25,000 for that replacement. Other projects, the street light node installation is going well. To date, we have about 218 nodes installed. And at the rate they're going, we're anticipating the completion in 2 to 3 months. I'm going to say 3 months because of weather, but in addition, we're estimating it's going to come in $20,000 under the contract amount, which the contract amount also was $16,000 under budget that we estimated. So hopefully everything goes as planned.
That sounds good to me.
Hey, Alf, can I ask you a question about these projects, whether they're emergency or planned? How do we, on an ongoing basis, keep residents up to date about the status of these? Do we do a monthly newsletter or quarterly or anything?
Which you talking about, the Ida storm project?
I'm talking about just in general. I know I get, I've had questions from, constituents in my.
We post a lot of times on our website is the main thing that we use, a website, and sometimes we put things out on social media. It's basically the two avenues that we use.
Okay, thanks.
And another project's Marshall Drive stream bank repair. The contractor is expected to start next week. There's been delays because of weather and things like that. And also, we just recently got the contract signed and all the paperwork in order. So I don't know if you remember, that was actually awarded in February, at the meeting in February. As far as public works staff, we are. Did you want me to talk about that?
I talked about that already. We're interviewing for Al's replacement, so.
All right. I wasn't sure if I should say anything. I had second thoughts there. Currently, we're also down 4 employees. We have one applicant that has accepted an offer. We have another offer that's been made. We have not gotten. We've not received either acceptance or rejection. And so we have 3 open positions that we're looking to fill with laborers. And in addition, we have 2 potential retirements in 2022 that we'd be looking to replace. So on fleet, this is kind of going to start with the good. Last year, we sold several vehicles on Municipid, and that brought in $67,583. We have several vehicles that need replacement in 2022 and 2023. We're looking at a need for a replacement of a recycle truck. Now, the recycle truck, we put in, last year we had approximately $23,000 in maintenance and repair. We have a transmission issue, and with that repair, we're going to be approaching $20,000, and it's just April. That's a 2013 vehicle. It costs around $350,000 to repair or replace. But the good news on that is, being that it's a recycle truck, DEP has grants, and I believe it pays for 75 or 80% of the vehicle. So much of that would be paid by the grant. We also have one of the larger dump trucks, a 5-ton dump dump truck. It's a 2007 that we're hoping to replace prior to the snow season coming up. So we'd like to do that by December or by the new year, let's say. That's going to probably be in the neighborhood of about $275,000. We also have an F-550 dump truck that we need to replace. If you remember, we replaced one just this past year, or the end of last year, beginning of this year. That's one of the trucks that we use all year round for plowing and also during the summer for other work that we do. That vehicle would actually qualify to be purchased under the enterprise leasing program that we do. So that's probably our more urgent, along with the recycle truck. We're currently driving a backup recycle truck right now to do that. But that truck is actually, I believe it was a 2009 that we're using as a backup vehicle right now. It has less mileage than the 2013, but it's in better condition for now. And then we're also looking at some equipment for a jet vac, a flushing truck, a system to basically clean out sanitary sewer pipes and storm pipes and things like that. That piece of equipment runs an estimated $275,000. I know that there's been some discussions with our wastewater department about purchasing some that and with them. So we're going to research that further. And then I brought up the streetlight nodes. The streetlight maintenance was omitted in the 2022 budget. There is no line item for it. And we normally have, I believe, between $25,000 and $30,000 for maintenance of streetlights. And so I'm going to be hoping that we can allocate some of the excess funds from the streetlight node installation toward that to maintain the streetlights for the rest of the year. Pretty much everything.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I have a couple of questions. So the fleet items, are they budgeted or non-budgeted items? And
They're
can
not
they-
budgeted this time.
And so can you define urgent for me? Is that, 3 months or is that 9 months?
Well, the recycle truck, we're currently using the backup. A few weeks ago, the backup was down and we had to rent a truck. It cost us $8,000 for 10 days. So without a backup, if what we're currently using as a recycle truck goes down, we're in a predicament again. We'll have to go out and rent something. So, and obviously that's an issue that we can spend the $16,000 to repair it, but we've already put $22,000 last year. We'll be at close to $20,000 this year. I don't know how much longer I'd like to keep putting money into it. It is a long turnaround time in ordering one, so I think it's about a 6-month wait for a new truck. So,
And who applies for the grants if there's one available? Is that Public Works?
actually, I've been speaking to Will Williams about that. He would basically be the coordinator on that. Work with him for that.
So it's either 16,000 now or plan for eventual replacement.
Right. Problem is the big problem is that in the 2011 F-550 dump truck, I believe I don't have it written down here, but I think it was. Oh, I'm sorry. It is $12,500 for a new transmission, and then $16,000 for the recycle truck. That's over 15% of our annual budget for fleet maintenance. We haven't done any police vehicles or any other vehicles in the borough.
Council, any questions?
I do want to make one quick comment, and it hurts my heart to hear that we do not have, that we're short so many people in Public Works, because in my opinion, Public Works are my favorite people in the room. You guys do so much and you do such wonderful work. And I feel like it's overlooked and underappreciated, and it's so extremely important. So to whoever you can find for your own replacement and for all the other ones, please know that they are greatly appreciated, at least by me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That we will move on to next item, 3B, wastewater report.
Excuse me, Goose Creek Superintendent. Mine's a lot shorter and cheaper.
Sometimes.
Well, mine's all budgeted, I'll tell you that. The replacement digester gas equipment has been purchased and delivered for Taylor Run. Now, just in the near future or over the summer, with the recommendation from our engineer, we'll rebid the installation of it. The cost was down, that's in. The tertiary filter system, which is the big project down there, the majority of the pipe has been painted and installed. 3 of the tanks are in. Now the big wet well just has to be finished fabricated, and they'll bring a crane in and drop that in, and then finish the piping and pumps, and it should be online, I believe, by the end of summer. The electrical contractors will be in May to start their part of it. That's about it for Taylor Run. For Goose Creek, we had an employee leave to become a paid fireman in Baltimore. Best of luck to him. With that, we're down 3 out of 8, so there's only 5 of us. I'm currently on shift work now for weekends. Haven't done that in a while, so that'll be interesting for my wife. She'll love it. We are interviewing, have numerous ones. Bunch been kicked out. Some of them been said thanks, but no thanks, but we're trying.
Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate it.
All right.
Any questions?
Sean, can I ask you one quick question?
We're not your favorite?
You're pretty high up there. No, my question's goofy too. When is the pipe going down? When are the cranes gonna be up? When's the action gonna happen?
That I do not know, but I will make sure that Mike will send an email out to everybody. So whenever it happens, all council will be invited to partake to watch.
Yeah, so part of why I'm asking is I want to see all of Public Works celebrated, and this is exciting. And a mom who raised 2 little kids, we followed the recycling trucks around for, hours. If they could see a giant crane going in, that's like a wonderful thing. And then those kids who watch that stuff grow up to be those guys like you. Like this is a position that should be celebrated and inspiring to the kids who are going to take those places.
I will make sure
So I
that
want it.
you guys are all notified when the tank will be installed.
Thank you.
Dale?
I looked at the mowing contract. That to mow. But it's like a sandwich.
The mowing contract was publicly bid, and the way the bid form worked was you put in a dollar amount for each location on the bid form. So it was, why it's a bigger number, because that was the low bid and that was the number that we got for, that project. Is it a larger area, more complex to mow? I can't answer that question. I don't know the answer to that question.
Mr. McCoy, as Mr. Metric mentioned, when we put out the grass cutting contract, it's a shopping list of all the parks and Public Works and the administration building. And what they do is they go around, look at each one of the properties, and they assign a dollar number to each lot. And then whoever has the lowest number, that's who gets the cutting bill. And to answer your question, Dale, I have no idea. You know, but the contractor that has the cutting, JHL, I guess it's still them. That's how they bid it out. And they were the lowest bidder across the board for everything.
I mean, it is quite a bit of property at both of the plants.
A lot of hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of hills. So.
But the idea of doing it less frequently or something, I don't know, that's something potentially could be explored. Sounds like a sustainability kind of item, perhaps. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.
Eat your ivory poison, eat everything that you want it to eat, and then also fertilize. So it's a thought.
So
Notes.
I will let you,
You let me work on that.
I'll let you work on that.
And we're fenced in. Both places are fenced in, so the goats can't get out. So
With that, we'll move on to item 3C, Parks and Recreation Report, State of Good Repair Update.
So we're going to try a remote presentation here. Hi, Keith. I see your two-dimensional face up on the screen.
I apologize. I couldn't be there in person. My entire family is sick. I think it was running an Easter egg hunt in 40-degree temperature on Saturday that got us going this way. But yes, Bill, if you could pull up the one document I emailed you yesterday, it's the Parks and Rec Update Report, Spring 2022. There's a couple items I want to touch on. Hold on one second. Basically, this is a broad overview of everything that we have going on at the Parks and Rec Department. When I say we, I mean me. As many of you know, I have been pretty much out of the office for the last 2 months, recovering from major knee surgery. So the items here is, again, an overview of what I've been working on. And to touch on a couple of the items that were mentioned earlier, I've been working with all the Friends groups. We've had some really good conversations as of late. I met with the Friends of Everhart, Hoops, and Marshall Square to discuss some mowing issues that we just briefly touched on. I met with the Friends of Hoops Park and the Adult Baseball League. I'm in constant contact with emails and with all the folks in regards to all the Friends groups and how we can work together with them to get these projects achieved. In the middle of that project list that Bill put up for us are the ones I want to kind of touch on base first, mainly when it comes to repairs to the parks. Obviously, we've discussed the items that need to still be cleaned up at Everhart Park from the construction and installation of the new playground. We actually have a meeting set up for this Thursday. I am hoping I'll be back in person. I plan to be with the engineer to further discuss the discharge and stormwater management features. Unfortunately, like I said, I've only been to Westchester 4 or 5 times in the last 8 weeks. It's been a bit difficult. I literally just started driving last week. There's one item on that list. Unfortunately, I left off. I had to recreate this list because I couldn't find the file. As Jeff Bytel can speak to, he's with the Friends of the Friends of Marshall Square Park. We've been waiting to install the new playground equipment at that park since, God, I think we ordered it back in July of 2021. And with the supply chain issues, we literally just got it in a few weeks ago. So I've been coordinating our efforts with the installers, the Friends of Marshall Square, tree protection issues, and of course, Public Works to get this taken care of. Obviously, Mother Nature hasn't exactly been the most friendly to us recently. I think many of you know that we had some significant trees fall over at Hoops Park last week due to the storm crushing the outfield fence to the adult baseball field. So we're getting to things. I really hope that things get a little bit more streamlined when I'm actually able to be there in person and interact with folks as opposed to online. One of the issues here that I want to talk about, I have a little bit further of a detail when it comes to the park projects. I'm happy to discuss any of the items that I'm currently working on, whether it be activities, our event schedule, park usages and rentals. Any item you'd like to discuss, please let me know. I'm happy to do so here or offline. Like I said, it has been a bit of a challenge here in early 2022. But the one item that's really come to mind that we've discussed at the Recreation Commission is the park playground updates. Over the last 2 years, our parks, due to the pandemic, have been used more than they ever have in my tenure with the borough. And unfortunately, due to financial constraints, because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to keep up with some of the general maintenance and care of these parks. The pictures you see here in front of you are of our 4 parks, the 4 parks that are in most need of this type of extra effort. Bayard Rustin Park. Let's just try to pull this here. Bayard Rustin Park, Kath McBratney Park, Horace Pittman Park, and Veterans Memorial Park. Normally on a year-to-year basis, we just order EWF, which is engineered wood fiber, and we provide the fall zone at these playgrounds. We haven't been able to do that in the detail that we really should have been. So in my conversations with the borough manager and our public works department, we felt if possible, the use of some ARPA funding from the pandemic would be a very good starting off point to take care of these parks and show them the love that they need. We're talking about taking out basically everything that's dead. The equipment would stay, but we'd be taking out the EWF, putting down weed screening, bringing in new EWF, putting in plastic borders. And again, this could all be taken care of by our public works department. We don't have to hire third-party vendors to take care of this, or third-party subcontractors. The issue, just like I mentioned previously with the Marshall Square Park project, is we're looking at an 8 to 12 week lead time to get the EWF and get the plastic borders to make these projects become reality. And obviously that would need to be done and approved by not only the committee, but Borough Council to use those funds moving forward. There is another project I'll be presenting in May. Back in 2020, we discussed and had approved the Hoops Park Pavilion upgrades. The numbers and figures that I have are outdated. I'm working on getting new figures to provide to the committee and to the borough manager. But these are just some of the items I felt would need to be most addressed as soon as possible so we can start working on these projects and, like I said, bring the parks back up to where they need to be.
Thanks, Keith. Just a question. I'm glad to hear that you've got something scheduled on Thursday to talk about Everhart, and I hope that you'll share that with the friends of Everhart, including Dale. He was up earlier talking about some of the issues at Everhart that need to be resolved, but it sounds like you're working on that. Dale, you have a comment? So Keith, I suspect you will have the meeting and follow up with Friends Everhart Park.
Oh, yes. I had invited Dale to that via email. I guess that was late last week. Excuse me. Trying to coordinate that again. The meeting was scheduled for this Thursday, I believe, at 2 or 2:30. Unfortunately, right now, Mother Nature is not looking too kind to us this coming Thursday with some severe thunderstorms possibly coming back through. I will absolutely be in touch with the Friends of Everhart Park in regards to that project. And, obviously Jeff Bytel and the Friends of Marshall Square and Craig Steiner with the Friends of Hoops Park as we move into some of these other projects that I've discussed. I've worked with many of these groups and many of the same people for quite some years now. I think we have a good working relationship. Like I said, it has been a bit challenging recently with my not being able to be there, but I hope that changes as I come back to work in person.
Council, any questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move on to item number 4A, award a bid for the 2022 paving proposal.
Okay. Put out the bid for the 2022 pavement repair project. Similar to last year, the difference is last year I believe we did 4.5 miles. This year we actually brought it down to 3.85 miles. The three bidders bid on the project. Glasgow Inc. was the low bidder once again. Their number, I'm recommending to award the base bid. The reason is we have a consortium bid that's out for line striping, which we get better prices than what we got on this bid. At least we did last year, much better prices. And we do that with about 4 or 5 other municipalities, and we bid all our line work at the same time. So we get a better price. So I'm anticipating we do that, all the line striping under that contract and take that out of this contract. So the base bid for all the mill and overlay and the base repair and that for this project is $818,762.55. Now, flip to the this one. Want to set you the just kind of go over what we had budgeted, and the liquid fuels is $550,000 for this project. You don't have this but if you look up on the screen, what we have budgeted, the middle. The funding source, the budgeted liquid fuels funds is $550,000. We are actually, there was an Aqua project on East Neald Street that Aqua is going to contribute $46,361.25 toward repaving that, basically from High Street to almost the railroad tracks, heading east. And then we're asking, I better backtrack here. Let me go to the top. The base contract that I mentioned was $818,762.55. There's actually going to be a deduction on that for Greenview Alley. Greenview Alley, based on the unit prices that were given, is going to be $11,350.39. The reason for that deduction is we were expecting to pave that as part of a stream protection project that's being done by Greenview, by the park there, and we were going to repave the alley. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that project is going to be ready by the time we pave, so I was going to pull that out of the contract. So essentially, the actual contract, instead of $818,000, is $807,412.16 after we deduct Greenview Alley. Well, the stream protection project is not going to happen in time for us to do the paving, so we would push back the repaving of Greenview Alley and do it next year. Okay.
So what was the total again for the base bid? 807.
So the total for the base bid would be $807,412.16.
So council, any questions? Move to take this to work session?
Okay, sure.
Next is.
Patrick, does the committee have a recommendation for that action item?
Yes, we'd recommend that we move forward approving the bid for, the base bid for a total of $807,412.16.
Okay, thank you.
Next is item 4B, award of the bid for the Downingtown Pike pedestrian crossing improvements.
So this is one of the rare instances of good news when you bid something. So if you recall last year, this was bid sometime around September at a project cost somewhere north of $115,000, making the project infeasible with our current funding scenario that we had budgeted last year. And this is a joint project between East Bradford Township and Borough of Westchester to install pedestrian improvements between a residential area and the giant, is it giant? Giant grocery store on the southwest side of the street. I think when I lived here, used to be in Andronicos. Is that true? Can anybody remember that long ago? Andronicos? No? Have I gotten that old? Thank you, Bill. I've been torturing Bill tonight by sending him emails with extra stuff to put up on the screen. But this is imagine a drone camera maybe flying 20 feet above the entrance to the shopping center, pointed north towards the borough. So everything you see here overlaid of the image is a new construction. So creating a sidewalk into the shopping center, the pedestrian crossing, and all that sidewalk improvement on the north side of the street there in the far, in the background of the photo. This was bid as I said, last September at around $115,000. It came back at, what's the number? 60, significantly less. Let's call it that. 60, I'm going to say 65. Don't hold me to that. It's on your attachment. So good news, we called up the contractor and made sure they understood what they were bidding on and that they would honor their price, and indeed they will. And it's a reputable contractor that I have some prior professional experience with. So that's the project. And if the committee would like to have any questions about this or move this forward with a recommendation to council, the plan is to get the bid awarded at our business meeting next week, so we can get moving on this project. This is a grant-funded project through funds from automatic red light enforcement. So fines generated from automatic red light enforcement in the Commonwealth have a surcharge on them that goes into a fund and then is distributed through competitive grant funding process for street and traffic management improvements.
I'm happy to say I did not contribute to that. One question, I'm thrilled, of course, that it's half, but obviously you had the same concern that it's less than half of the next lowest bid. No concerns?
No concerns.
62,594 was, the low bid. The next one is 134,000.
Correct, and you want to make sure, right? You want to call that contractor up and make sure that they got it right, and they agreed to honor that price, and they are a reputable contractor.
And do we, so how does the oversight for this is done by Public Works, or is that done through Pannoni, or?
It'll be done through Pannoni because they've project managed this for us.
Okay, thanks. Council, any questions?
I only have one question. Is there a bid bond or a performance bond?
Correct, there's both.
Okay, then we're protected.
Thank you.
It's a joint project with a grant partner. So I'd have to pull up the budget. That's a good question. You know, what does the budget look like? So we're saving $50,000 on the install. I think we were looking at sharing something around $30,000 with East Bradford. So having to put in $60,000 of our own township borough cash into the project. That's just now been reduced by the difference between this bid and our assumed price we were going to get. So we're still going to have to kick in a little bit of money, but it's not 35,000 anymore. It's much less.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, with that, we will move on to item 4C, approve the, first, I guess we should move to go ahead and go with, take this to work session for okay. We will approve the Downingtown Pike and Plaza Drive pedestrian improvements for a total bid of $62,954.75. With that, we will go to item 4C, approve the Ecovanta electronic waste recycling contract renewal.
Hi there, Will Williams, Sustainability Director. So this is a basically 1.5-year extension of a contract for electronic waste pickup and recycling with Ecovanta. Just a reminder, we collect electronic waste from residents at our public works facility. The reason we're just now renewing our contract for this year and we want to make it good through next year is because Ecovanta only does maybe 2 or 3 pickups per year. So it's just about time for their first pickup. In other words, it's not a high volume operation we're running down there. But so the first 2 pages of this are the renewal. The rest is the original contract from 2019. And Billy, would you scroll down to page 9? In Pennsylvania, we have something called Act 108, which requires certain electronic devices be recycled. Luckily, it also requires that recycling be free to basically consumers of the electronics. It's really baked into the cost when you buy it up front. It's also free to intermediaries in that process, like the borough. So the covered devices there, which is about 95% of what we typically collect, certainly by mass, is free in this contract. Anything that's non-covered there, which we really don't collect a whole lot of, answering machines, for example. But when we do, we have to pay Ecovanta 30 cents per pound. If you are dropping off something like that, there is a flat $5 charge for residents to help defray those costs, and it does. Last year, we spent exactly $0 on Ecovanta. In 2020, it was 0. In 2019, we paid them something like $300. So I could share more. The only other thing I'll say is in the contract, the original contract, that price was 25 cents per pound. Now it's 30, but it went from 25 to 30 when we renewed last year. So there's no price increase versus today. And again, we're not really spending money on this anyway. But yeah, again, we only do this a few times a year. That's why we're just getting into the renewal now. And rather than do it for 12 months, we said, what the hell, let's go through next year. And so we're asking for you to recommend this to Borough Council for approval.
Thank you, Council. All right, with that, we will recommend this to rest of Council to approve the Ecovanta electronic waste recycling contract. We have agreement?
Yes.
Thank you. With that, item 4D, the approved sale of 7 vehicles.
Yes, recently we took delivery of several vehicles, numerous vehicles, some parking, some building and housing, some police vehicles. And we're looking to put 3 parking and building and housing vehicles for sale on municipal bid, 3 police vehicles, and 1 public works vehicle on municipal bid. So
Thank you. This is in addition to the 67,000 that you mentioned in
that was last year.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
we actually have one that was approved earlier this year. It was a police vehicle that had a bad transmission. It sold for, I think, $6,800. The buyer never picked it up, so we put it back on municipal bid, and it's over $8,300 now, that same vehicle. So we're actually making additional money.
Council, any questions? All right, with that, we'll recommend approval of sale of 7 vehicles. Item 4E, approve the March 2022 meeting minutes. Agreed? All right, 3-0 for that. Any other business, any other comments? All right, with that, we are adjourned at 7:08. Thank you.